The Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council is here to help Ventura County communities. As a grassroots, community-led organization, we help mobilize residents to protect their homes, communities, and environments from catastrophic wildfire. In 2025, our programs have included home wildfire assessments, Firewise USA assistance, resident grant program, chipper days, outreach and education, community wildfire protection plans, and, for the first time on a large scale, fuels reduction. In Fillmore and Piru, the Fire Safe Council treated over 50 acres of hillsides full of heavily loaded brush, flashy invasive grasses, and black mustard, which border 39 homes. We chose critical sites in the Santa Clara River Valley with guidance from Fillmore Fire Department and Ventura County Fire Department because neighborhoods in the area are historically underserved in our county, but experience some of the highest fire risk.
The Fire Safe Council has been very important to Fillmore over the past few years. We've had a lot of different projects that have occurred. We've had chipper days that the Fire Safe Council has supported, and that's been very important to the city of Fillmore for the residents to be able to bring in their brush and other fuels, dead branches, whatever. Fire Safe Council this year has been able to help facilitate a grant for the city where we've been able to clear and treat about 20 acres of some of our hazardous fuels to the north of the city. It's an area that is our biggest concern and is our highest priority to help reduce the fire loading for any fire that may be hitting the city from the north. We selected specific areas that were close to residents and or could provide the continuity of a fuel break, being able to eliminate stringers of hazardous fuels coming into the city. That has really been a good shot in the arm for the city to protect us from any wind-driven fire coming out of the north. The residents themselves are required to clear 100 feet. For the most part, it's 100% of their parcels. If we can harden the area surrounding the residents and ask the residents to start working on their own structures, then we feel that Fillmore will be more protected in the likelihood of those devastating fires that are pretty common in the valley.
Wildfire always arrive upon you. It's not if, but when. And so having a plan and a defensible space around not only a single household, but as a neighbor is very important. There has been a very good response from the neighbors about getting the ball rolling about defensible spaces, especially this last 0 to 5 directive. I think it has been extremely positive, and it is important to be prepared. And now we are working towards having our first Firewise group here in Fillmore. It's a very, very good thing.
The fire department is always paying attention to what's going on, whether it's with existing incidents throughout the state, whether it's the weather. And so generally when we are coming into a wind event, much like we did prior to the days of the start of the mountain fire, we are having regular communications and coordinated conference calls with the National Weather Service, with partner agencies. We recognize that we are coming into what's referred to as a PDS, or a particularly dangerous situation. And so we start our emergency plan, aggressively respond in and around that area, and we start developing plans to mitigate the incident. We had also upstaff additional strike teams, additional hand crews, heavy equipment, aircraft. All of those resources began responding right away to the reported location of the mountain incident. This was a life-threatening event. And so very quickly you have to reframe your mindset and understand the scope of what you're looking to accomplish. In the case of the mountain incident, it was more than just perimeter control, it was more than just structure protection, it was legitimately life safety and rescues. In the mountain incident, very early on, the initial on-scene command officer requested not just an evacuation order, but a request for mutual aid resources from our entire Ventura County operational area, and then extending beyond the county throughout the state. One of the things that we've had a lot of success with really over the last few decades is our FHRP, or our Fire Hazard Reduction Program, and that started with the 100-foot clearance that we require around all structures. When you show up to a house that has defensible space, or it does have some home hardening, it gives us the ability to effectively protect that home. It's important for residents to understand that the Ventura County Fire Department and the partner agencies that exist here within the county are going to do everything they possibly can to provide the most aggressive response to these incidents and mitigate the threat to human life, structures, and infrastructures as fast as we possibly can.
I didn't hear about the mountain fire until I was eating lunch. My husband called me and said that there was a fire and it was coming close. Said, oh, it's getting really bad. And I thought he was being dramatic. And then he told me the house across the street was on fire. And then he said the firefighters were here, so he thought it was going to be fine. He was going to get the dog and leave. I found out that our house was on fire. I think there were 2 news stations that were showing our house very prominently. My husband made a phone call and somebody said, your house is gone, and that's how we knew. It's so hard to believe that it really is true. I was just in the bathroom. I was just in the kitchen. I was just walking out the door. I didn't return to the home right away. My husband did. He went back the next day. So I found out that the firefighters actually saved some of our stuff, found our car keys, drove 2 of those cars off. Before that, they loaded them up with some of our stuff. We had portraits hanging on the wall of my kids. We had other photos, and they took them off the mantle and they loaded it into the car. Anything that they could find easily. They were going through thick smoke, getting this out and doing that for us, and we were just so touched and just couldn't believe it. Ventura County was pretty darn nice. And of course, the Local Love Project was incredible. We went there a lot of times. There were other people that were dealing with the same thing. There were several churches in Camarillo that were just so kind to the fire victims and just giving us stuff and doing whatever they can, and my kids' schools too. The whole community. My best advice for people who are living in high fire risk areas is make sure the vents in your attic have a special netting, and that's where our fire started. So if an ember gets in there, I mean, we were done. I think in the future, we probably will have our really important, everything that's important documents, everything important photos, and we will put those in a box and it will be near the front door and ready to go.
Growing up in Ventura County, I've experienced wildfire all of my life. I've seen a big change in how much more unwieldy and unexpected fires can be. Wildfire is no longer just hanging on the perimeters of our communities. It's coming in. If we want to keep our communities safe, we have to protect each other. We have to prepare ourselves, our neighbors, and our environments. That's why I'm so passionate about working at the Fire Safe Council. We have the opportunity to really make an impact.
The idea is that they can help any individual make their house safe. But that isn't really the point. What you really have to do is make a community safe, and so that's where they really excel.
In order to get our insurance approved,
we told them we were a fire-adopted community from the Fire Council, and they sent us a renewal and didn't raise it $1. That would have never happened before without the Fire Safe Council.
Since 2009, the Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council has grown immensely, both in staff and in impact. I'm so proud of what our team has accomplished this year, and I'm incredibly encouraged by the direction the Fire Safe Council is going. In the coming year, we are going to be focusing on hardening communities at the neighborhood level. This is something that's critically needed and hasn't yet happened in our county. We'll be working to harden homes in high fire risk areas, especially in communities that face significant barriers in making these changes on their own. Our goal is for Ventura County residents to feel empowered by learning about all they can do in the face of wildfire, and we'll be with them every step of the way. We're also excited to launch one of our newest projects, the Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council Contractor Directory. Over the years, we've provided well over 1,000 free home assessments, and at nearly every single one, we are asked by residents who they can go to in order to make these recommended changes. With funding from Conejo Open Space Conservation Agency, we have trained participating local contractors and landscaper professionals in home hardening and defensible space principles, who will be featured in the debut directory, which can be found at our website at venturafiresafe.org.